Good evening. Happy 2026. Thank you for joining me. Going to give a few minutes till I can see that you are here. I see you coming through now. Good evening. Happy 2026. Just sharing this out. If you are joining me, I would appreciate it if someone could let me know if they can see and hear me okay on their end. And I'm going to make sure I'm coming through. And I am. Perfect. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Today is day 3 of 3 days of Deb. I've done this a couple years in a row and sometimes on my channel, and I've done it on Lifepro's channel. Today we're going to do a lower body massage set. Excuse me. It's snowing and foggy and I just came in the house. Hello, Betsy. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you're familiar with hockey terms, but I think you've got a hat trick. You've shown up for all 3 sessions. So thank you for joining me. Range of motion is required for today's session. And what I always find with range of motion, it's very often it's not the getting down, it's the getting back up that can be more challenging. So if you do join me and you're pushing yourself and you find yourself on the ground with us today, that's great. Please give yourself some time to recover before you get up off the ground or have something closer to you. I'm going to show you some variations today with an aerobic step. I'll be using the Aeroflex step tonight, and I'm going to be using, again, my Rumblex Plus from Lifepro. So I see there's a number of you here. Thank you for joining me. If you are wanting to make comments on tonight's session, make sure that you're joining me from the main Lifepro page, not any of the groups where I may have shared this. And if you have other groups or friends or family, let's give Lifepro some traffic to these lives and get some engagement going. As many people that you can share this to, I would appreciate. A lot of people, maybe it's a New Year's resolution thing, but a lot of people don't realize you can massage body parts directly on your vibration plate. So I wanted to give you some examples of pretty much everywhere below the waist. We've all got different trouble spots. You are a hat tricker. And if you are joining me, please, I encourage you to make a comment. If you haven't joined my lives, you'll notice I spend a fair bit of time at the end of my lives going in after conversing with you. And if you do have a question, please tag me at Debbie with a Y. If you're watching this on a recorded basis after the fact, I will get to some questions at the end of this session. But I think I kept seeing more and more views. So there's 30 plus of you here. Hello, Dottie. And if you are commenting, like I say, let me know where you're from. I'm always curious. If you followed me for a session in the past, and maybe a fun question tonight would be, were you aware that you could use your vibration plate strictly for direct massage positions? What I mean by direct massage positions, there's lots of ways that you can use a plate for massage, but it's putting body parts directly on it, and it's just a lazy, comfortable thing. Before we get into that, I always like to do a little bit of a warm-up. And typically I would stand and do a couple of pelvic tilts. But I know many of you have joined me over the last couple of days, and I've done that kind of 2 days in a row. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to get on my knees. And I have knee issues. And sometimes, depending on the surface of or texture of your plate surface, you may want some padding. There's a mat that comes with some models. If you didn't get a mat with your model or you're using a different brand, a thick yoga mat cut to size is a great way to just get some extra padding. And you may need some padding on the floor as well. I'm working on a sponge. It looks like wood, but it's one of those foam puzzle piece floors. So when I'm maneuvering around on the ground, I've got some padding. But if you've got a surface that's a little bit rough or you've got troublesome knees, you may want to just add some additional padding. Now, it looks like my stool here might be blocking you seeing what I'm doing. So I'm just going to move these over here a bit. Okay. So I'm, as I do in all my sessions, I will be working in oscillating mode tonight again. So whatever model you're using, with the exception of the voice activated kind of electric rebounder models that recently came out, I want you to turn your machine on to a mid-speed range, and to turn it on manually in oscillating mode, as soon as you turn your machine on, just hit the play button and it's going to start moving. I'm working with the Rumblex Plus, which has 60 speeds in oscillating. So I'm going to bring mine up to the 30 range. I think you'll find when you get some of the meatier parts, the glutes and the thighs on there, you probably will be able to tolerate a fairly high speed, just because it's a lazy, relaxed position and there's a little bit of padding going on. So for getting on it with your knees, I recommend starting, I've been doing this a while, so it doesn't bother me going direct on the plate, but I recommend putting a mat or a towel on. Put your knees fairly close to the center, and you'll find, instead of like when you're standing on the plate, it feels a little bit more direct to the hips because it's not traveling through the calves. So I just want to get a little bit movement, going in the hips, maybe some arm circles, just get a little action going, and it might help you with that range of motion. 30 seconds to a minute if you prefer. I think I'm going to cut my head off. Get a little bit of pelvic tilt or some circles going, just to loosen things up for 30 seconds to a minute before we get down on the ground. So for all of the exercises I'm doing today, there's 2 ways that you can perform them. And the first way that I'm going to show you is you just have your plate, you don't have an aerobic step. An aerobic step is something that you can use to get yourself not so low to the ground, but it gives you more surface the same level as the plate. So if range of motion is an issue, you'll be surprised. It's a lot easier sitting down, at machine level than being down on the ground. So that may be one reason to consider something like this, just so you've got a little bit more real estate without having to get all the way down to the ground. So the first set I'm going to show you is a calf massage. So a calf massage, you want to connect, obviously, the calf, but make sure that the heel is popping off the edge of your plate. If you got the heel on there, sometimes it's not terribly comfortable, but it raises the meaty part, that lower part of the calf. So pop the heels just off the edge. And just like when you're standing on the plate, how wide or how close together your feet are determines the amount of shake. So again, I'm at speed 30. If you find, well, that's really not so bad and you want to try going a little bit faster, you certainly can. But as I try to coach, you're always in control of your experience. And if you want a little bit more intensity, try widening the feet just a little bit first, before you speed things up. I don't recommend going like all the way out wide with calves. They're light. You don't have a lot of mass incorporated in, so they start kind of bouncing all over the place. So hip width apart again, or a little bit further. And there's a million variations. If you're in this position, maybe you're working on tension or you're trying to improve your range of motion. You can do some calf stretches. So you're getting the direct massage and then you're pulling those toes towards you. Maybe you're working on strengthening the ankles, the knees. Does this look familiar? Many of you are supposed to be doing exercises that look like this, but it's a lot more fun and effective on the plate. Many of you know that I have a bad knee. So one of the things I like to do is a variation in my calf massage. Areas like the Achilles tendon and, I'm going to forget the name. Someone on last night's session was trying to target this. Scott, I think it was. And I have a bad knee. So sometimes when you're doing certain massage positions, there's little crevices and cavities that don't lay directly on the plate. So I have brought my handy dandy pool noodle tonight, and you can see that I've cut it in 2 different ways. I cut it the length of my plate, like with a steak knife, and then I cut the other leftover portion, you may need to trim them a bit, lengthways. So depending on how much, give you need, I use these pool noodles, kind of like a roller. So the variations that you could do might look something like this. So my knee, to get into the back of it, I rest it over the larger portion of the pool noodle, and the resonance of the movement that's being created just kind of wedges up into the back of that knee joint in a passive way. If you were working on strength exercises, you'll find by lifting up, you're putting more mass into that area and it digs in a little bit deeper. For me, my issue, it's this knee, but it's kind of that outer set of tendons. So I tend to roll to the right a little bit. Maybe I lean to the left a bit. If you've got good upper body strength, whether you're doing the calf massage or this variation, you can lift yourself up off the ground, get a little deeper. If you do rolling exercises now on the floor, I gotta remember, I'm not coordinated today. You can literally, if you've got the upper body strength, you can do some rolling right on the plate. It feels awesome. And turn sideways, right. But you got to make sure you got the upper body strength. Well, what happens if I don't have the upper body strength, Debbie? This is another variation where you can add the step. So I'm going to bring that into the equation now. When I'm doing my massage, you don't necessarily need to do all the same moves that I am. Everybody's got a few trouble spots or tension areas that they're trying to target, whether that's skin tone or tension or whatever it is you're trying to work with. So just by sitting up on the plate or on the step, we're more level with the surface of the plate. So you can rest your hands on this and rely on upper body strength a little less. You could do that on the ground as well. Kind of play with it and see what variation feels best to you. If you find that you have short legs and you have your knee on the plate and your heels are on it just because you're shorter in the calves, take the smaller portion and just give that the Achilles somewhere to rest. And if you're dealing with Achilles issues, I was explaining this, I think it was to Scott yesterday. This is how I get into the Achilles tendon, recovery. If I'm trying to work, flexibility, you can do those same kind of stretches. There may be variations you're doing now, but just by resting the half portion under the Achilles and this under the knee, you're getting those two, the ankle, the Achilles, the back of the knees quite nicely. So those are a couple of variations. I use these for many, many things. Sometimes when I'm standing, a lot of my folks with neuropathy, rolling their feet on it. There's all kinds of variations that I think you'll find, a $3-4 investment, a very valuable tool. So let's move on from the calf massage. So when I'm doing just my massage, and sometimes I do this as a session on my own. Sometimes I do a couple of moves after a workout. But you really, I know it feels nice and it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. But if you're a new user, I want you to be conservative on your time. 1-2 minutes per body part. So how long is a total routine going to be? It depends on how many positions you're doing. Okay. So from here, we're going to move up and we're going to target the back of the thighs. So depending on how tall you are, again, I'm about 5'10". So on the Rumblex, which is a bigger plate, so it's got a larger surface, the model you're using comes into this to a degree too. But you want to move forward enough so that the knee joint is bent and you can relax your heels on the ground. For me right now, seated, it's right up to the back of my hamstrings, but my glutes are off the back edge. So I can't do the back of my thighs and my butt all in one. Some of you may be able to. So when I'm doing the back of my thighs, which is one of my areas that drives me crazy, and I get a lot of sciatic, hamstring type stuff. So I like to sit, I do mine in 2 rounds. So if you find you have sensitivity to, head vibration, or you're just not comfortable doing it yet, you can lean yourself back and hold yourself up off the ground, off the step, or you can lean forward slightly. It's if you're sitting straight up and down, especially if your glutes are on the plate because the tailbone is transferring more of the movement up. So for me, for this one, I'm feeling a little bit movement in the upper body, but if I move up to my next set, which is my butt, it's much more prominent on the head. It's not harmful, but it does take some getting used to. And as ladies, we carry a lot of tension and stress in the neck and the shoulders, the purse, the bra straps. So we have this tendency, without even realizing, when the stimulation, that resonance, the vibration comes up into those areas, we tend to guard and protect, and we like tense. And by fighting it, you're actually, instead of the muscle groups accepting and going with the flow, they're rigid and they're resisting. So all you're doing is amplifying the shape. Oh, I've already rambled 10 minutes. Go figure. Hang on. So if that's an issue for you, I want to encourage you to get used to, the head vibration, unless you've got a reason to avoid it. So if you're dealing with some new teeth or some new implants in the ears, some ocular concerns, just lean forward slightly. That's going to get more mass into the equation. Or try this variation where you're leaning back. There's always a way to modify to minimize exposure to certain areas if you are dealing with deficiencies. So a variation on this one, a lot of my ladies want to get some upper body going. I'm not strong enough to do push-ups. Maybe I should be doing some push-ups, but I really don't feel like doing it today. But I got some tension. Maybe I want to move some lymph. Take your hands, one hand at a time, palms down, and sit on them with the palms down on the plate, just at the top of the thigh where it kind of meets the butt cheek. Okay, and just by putting your hand into the equation, you're going to feel now part of the connection. So now the resonance, you can hear the difference in my voice. So now it's just moving up the arms into the shoulders in a very passive way. I'm not having to support my weight. If you're dealing with any sensitivity issues, arthritis, rheumatoid, and you got them gnarly looking, knuckles and inflammation going on, this is a kinder way to get vibration into the hands. By sitting on them, you're increasing the amount of mass differently in the way that you would maybe in a push-up or something that sometimes just isn't tolerable if you're dealing with those type of conditions. So this is a great way to just get some movement into the neck and shoulders. If you can sit up and be mindful of your posture, I love the vibration in my neck and my head. And I like turn my neck. Maybe I do some little shoulder rolls. Maybe I'm just turning side to side. Experiment. The more you kind of wiggle around and play with your angles, the more you feel the change in where you're directing it. And you can really control and pinpoint certain areas. I find sometimes when you're sitting on your thigh, when you're on the thighs or the glutes, because this is our biggest area of padding, you tend to have better tolerance too. So if you did want to widen up and take on more intensity, give her. If you wanted to speed it up, I tend to put my controls here instead of behind me. And I've got an older model and I don't have the lock button where it stops you from disrupting things. So right here, I can just turn things up. I can turn them down, modify it based on how it feels for the body part. This is a little different than fitness. So the next one I'm going to do is the low back. So just from that sort of above the tailbone into that, the tire, the thing that sticks out over the top of the jeans. And you can do this two ways. So way one, you come back on your forearms or your hands to get into position. Move your bum forward, because once you lay back, you want to make sure that area is on the plate. So you can hold yourself up with your forearms. You can leave your feet on the ground, but I think you'll find this would be more ideal for like constipation relief because you're feeling it in that area. But if you bring the knees up, put your legs straight up, the mass is kind of pressing the small of the low back into the machine, and it just feels awesome. So if you don't want to hold yourself up and you want to be lazy, this is where the step, getting a step is worth it for this one move. And all you're going to do is lay completely down. And again, I like to put my feet up. Maybe your issue is more, out on the outer edges or the sides. Take your knees and just lean. Just by changing that angle again, you're getting more on that outer hip. Go this way a little bit. Whatever feels good. You might tell me you got back issues, but you know the spot, okay? So that's low back. My guys love that one. From there, I'm going to show you how to do that outer hip and thigh. And it's just a slight shift in your position. Remember, closer to the center is less intensity. Wider is more. I want you to turn on your side like you're going to lay down and watch TV on the couch. Position your hip dead center in the machine. Bend the knee so that bend the leg so the edge of the knee is heading outwards towards the end. And then you lay the other one on top of it. Up on my forearm, and you can do this on the plate or the ground, it kind of pushes your body weight directly into the hip. It's a little bit more intense. If you're looking more for, body tone, the sides, the toning, the cellulite, those type of things, lay yourself down and you'll get more. You can probably see here. You'll get more of that area on the plate. And again, with this one, 1 to 2 minutes per position. You may want to try extending, stretching the legs out a little bit. With this one, you can even lean back a little bit to experiment and see what feels good. If you wanted to do the other side, of course, you would simply flip over. Oh, I hit stop button. Again, position that hip in the center. Bring the knee up. And again, get sort of like from the top of that high waist to the glutes. And it depends on how long you are in the torso. Okay? So 1 to 2 minutes per side. Again, I don't do all of these all the time, but I want to show you all the variations. So the next variation we're going to do is the tops of the thighs. And this is any of these massage exercises are great as a recovery, but they're awesome as a warm-up too for some of my training athletes. A lot of them love to just hit the hams, the quads, fire them up before they get into other training activities. This is just another way to stimulate the muscles, increase that blood and lymph flow. But again, I want to make sure you got the range of motion. So for the tops of the thighs, you want to keep the knees just off the back of the plate. So I kind of straddle it like this and lay my kneecaps off, thighs on. You can lay yourself here. You can hold yourself up. I like to just lay down. And then you lift the feet again. You can leave the legs lower down if you like. I feel it more primarily above the knee than I do the thigh as a whole. So I like to bend the knees, cross my legs. Maybe I'm going side to side again. Experiment. See what feels good. If it's too intense, bring the knees a little bit closer together. If you want more intensity, widen them up. Okay? 1 to 2 minutes. See how you feel. This is great too for some of you dealing with like restless leg. The big caution with massage is no different than standing or squats. There's activity going on, even though it just feels so good. Start at 1 to 2 minutes per position. Give it a week. If you're finding things are fine and you want to do more time, that's fine. But keep in mind when your trendy body composition changes, working on cellulite, things like that, going longer, your body takes time to recover and make those changes. You're not going to do this for 20 minutes, 2-3 nights in a row and drop, every lump and bump on the lower body. Give your body time to recover and don't overdo it. So I know everybody wants to know about tummy. It's very much up for debate. A lot of these things that I'm doing, there's no studies. This is just 20 years of me learning what I've learned. But you can do your tummy on the plate. You're going to have to use common sense. If you've got issues going on, new IUD, recent surgery, all the same rules apply. The difference, it's kind of like when I was doing the back of the thighs and the glutes. It depends on how long you are from the knees to the torso. So for me to do the tummy, I actually have to reposition myself. Some of you may be able to get your tummy on in this basic position if you're not too tall. But to do the tummy, just shimmy back down a little bit. kind of up to about the belly button is comfortable. If you got really sticky outy hip bones, you may want to put a mat on it. And again, hold, relax, chill. Minute, maybe 2 per pose. I've got a lot of clients with, IBS, Crohn's, tummy issues that even though maybe you started for the mummy tummy and the skin tone, there's other benefits that you may experience. Massage and boosting circulation and lymph can be done in lots of different ways. This is just another example. So for the very last one, and the reason I leave this to last is it takes the most maneuvering. That inner thigh, the part that wears out the jeans first. Okay. So this is where I start looking a little bit silly. You want to be on the side opposite your controls. And for this one, you're going to lay down directly on your side beside the plate, and you're going to drape your inner thigh over and massage it one side at a time. Just like when we were doing the sides with the hip in the middle, try and position your thigh sort of in the middle, maybe just off center a bit. So I'm going to lay down. I'm too close to the wall, but I'm going to fake it. Okay. And so I keep turning. You can lay down on your side if you like, sit up a little bit. You kind of need to get the step out of the way for this one. But you see how I've got that part that wears the jean out on there? I find if I can turn my body and rest both forearms on the ground, it kind of pushes it in and flattens it out. And that's another trouble spot of mine, depending on what I'm wearing. And with this one as well, you can bend your leg, you can extend it across, whatever feels good. The goal is to target that inner thigh. And then, of course, you would turn around and do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to position up to it, hook that part in, keep turning, and you'll hook it in there. So that was a few moves. Again, I want to stress that you don't have to do every single one of them. You may or may not have a step, but for the ultimate lazy experience, especially with some of the sale pricing right now, the Aeroflex Step is a great tool to have with your plate, whether you're dealing with mobility issues, range of motion issues, or you just want to be ultimately lazy. And like I'll put a pillow on the end and a blankie sometimes. Back in my studio days, very commonly, a lot of my moms would bring their little ones with them because they couldn't come unless they did. So we would often set the kids up with big aerobic steps and blankets and pillows, and they'd lay with their legs on it and have a little downtime while I kicked the mums' butts and did some cardio and ab work and other things. So I hope that opened some eyes for some of you that have maybe never experimented with massage, or a lot of people have tried a calf massage or sitting on it. Sometimes it's crazy how many things you can do on a plate, and sometimes you get stuck in your own head. You've been doing the same moves for however long, if you will. So sometimes it's nice to mix things up. And especially since this New Year's, you guys have been running around on a marathon between Christmas holidays and all these things. Sometimes I preach to you, skip the workout and just do some self-care, some feel good. And this was a good example of just some different ideas if the range of motion allows. If you have a Rumblex and you've got other movements, some of these feel okay in pulsation. Some of them are all right in lateral as well. Some of you are probably using your programs. There is no preset speed or what have you, but because oscillating has the most variety in how you can manipulate the settings, it is the most functional, and long-term you're going to get the most benefits. So I always do all of my sessions in oscillating. That's the one movement that the majority of Lifepro's models offer. So I wanted my sessions to be something everyone can partake in. If you do have some of the other features like the pulsation, the lateral or the combos, feel free to experiment with those. It really boils down to what feels good for you, and mix it up from time to time. The body gets stagnant, of course, if you just keep sticking with the same thing all the time. So again, if you're just tuning in and you have questions, I'm going to start going through those now. Be sure that you're on the main Lifepro page, and that's the one feed where comments will come through to me on this end. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Hot coffee, hot coffee. Hello, Betsy. Again, thank you. She's got the hat trick tonight. And Carol might have a hat trick too. I think you've been here for sure for 2, maybe 3. Thank you, Carol, for being here this evening. Lisa is here as well from Southwest Iowa. Pretty sure you were here yesterday as well. Betsy says, yes, she loves hockey and my sessions. Thank you so much. A hat trick, if you're not a hockey person, is 3 goals. Carol Brown is replying to Carol Brown from Central Iowa. Again, I think you guys you were both here last night because I said you're probably close enough to go for a coffee. Dottie is here from Pittsburgh. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had a good New Year's Eve. And Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson is back home on the lovely Vancouver Island area. And I'll make it out there someday, girl. I've made it to Vancouver, but I've never made it on the ferry across to the more tropical part of Vancouver Island. Beautiful. Hopefully snow-free still this time of year. But tonight was fun. A lot of people kind of started the massage years ago when the vibration plates were just, these scientific machines they were doing studies on. I remember a vertical company that I used to work with, maybe some of you have heard of them, called Power Plate. They used to have these sessions where you would literally cover yourself in lotions and these ridiculously expensive outfits, and they did a couple of these things. But in our studio days, we started experimenting and learning, and the moves are always universal, regardless of what type of movement you are using. But I do find, like I say, long-term oscillating has the most functional gains. For this kind of stuff, range of motion is required, and the advantage and at the same time disadvantage that oscillating movement brings is that intensity or amplitude piece. Everybody thinks you got to be wide, but that's where all the control is. So it's not only are the values in oscillating versus vertical plates much greater, you're moving further, so the frequencies tend to be slower, but it's adaptable, it's adjustable. You're totally in control with those feet, so you can change your experience on the fly. Maybe when you're standing, you're a little more comfortable with those feet closer together. But very often when you're sitting and doing these types of things, it's passive, it's absorbed and feels differently. The muscles are engaged in a relaxation way versus, having to bear your mass and do the work way. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. If there's something new that you saw, and you think you're going to incorporate it to your routine, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear what you guys think of some of these moves. Maybe it's not news to you and you're doing these all the time. So good for you. Mary Jean Claremont, hello from Ottawa, Ontario. It is 9:00 p.m. for you. So thank you for joining me. Tonight was a later session. I'm finding, especially through the holidays, even though everybody's home, we're running around and we're doing things and we're putting away Christmas decorations and so forth. So I'm enjoying my late sessions. My attendance is great in the evenings, but I am going to try in the new year to start mixing up my times, especially on my monthly crash course, which is coming up also this coming Saturday. It's a late one as well, 6:30 p.m. My time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, 5:30 West Coast time. So that's always kind of completely improv. All my sessions are completely improv, but it's really driven by who's there and what type of questions they are. But I give you a bit of a brief crash course overview on how to use your plate, and I open the session up for all kinds of questions. So I want to thank each of you for joining me. Kim says it's beautiful tool and my fave. Kim, I always talk about you. Kim's dealing with some pretty uphill chronic conditions, and a lot of them are rare. And she's been a willing guinea pig of mine for a number of years now. And there isn't a challenge I haven't sent Kim's way that she hasn't been willing to partake in. And, at the end of the day, I can give you all the moves and all the ideas and nag you all I want, but you guys are the ones that get the results. And it's not because of a setting or a program, by showing up regularly. So Kim, I commend you. Some of us suffer needlessly more than others do with, you got a pretty long list of symptoms, and Kim's come a very long way, not just in her fitness, but in her food choices. I don't want to talk out of shop, but I'm going to say Kim's probably the one person, if I have anything carnivore or keto I tend to lean on Kim because she's just a walking example of what the right information combined with the right body and the right amount of discipline can accomplish. So good wishes to my Kim in 2026 and to Mary Jean. And I'm going to go back through here and thank everyone else too. Carol, thank you. Dottie, Betsy, Lisa. Thank you for being here this evening. There's many more of you here. If perhaps you're a little too shy to comment and ask questions, that's completely fine. I do remind you, if you're watching this on a recorded basis, or maybe, think of something after the fact, tag me at Debbie with a Y for sure. That way I'll get a notification. The recordings for these after the fact are always available on Facebook under the lives for the first 30 days after they happen. After 30 days, they are available on YouTube. So thank you for joining me this evening. There's some new sales going on at Lifepro for the new year, so check those out as well. If you're considering a vibration plate, I'll post some of my most popular sessions after the fact in a 6-minute version of my crash course for those of you that are new users. If you are a new user and I nagged this the other day and it's still sitting in the box, please take it out and get started. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll see how awesome and how unscary it really is. There's nothing worse than the fear or the lack of understanding, or you thinking it's this big 2-hour commitment you got to do. Just a couple minutes playing around when you first get it started, or when you first get it out of the box, to get a sense of what you're in for. If you're going to leave it till the 28th, 29th day and you've got a 30-day return cloud over your head, you tend to just pack it up and send it back. So you did the homework, you did the research, you pulled out the credit card. Don't let it collect dust. And if you're dealing with something funky and painful, or you've got some severe medical conditions, there probably isn't a session I haven't done on these channels. So please feel free to search. Again, there is never one way to use a vibration plate. Your manuals are very much general public. That's one approach, but I deal with a lot of chronic issues, lots of symptoms, and my approach is just different. So it's important to know that there's modifications, and it's very, very rare that with the right modifications and understanding that anyone can't use a plate. It's very, very rare that I can't find a way for someone to improve in some way, shape, or form, even if you're dealing with limited mobility or you're recovering with something. Feel free to reach out if you do need help. I wish you all the best in 2026, whatever the best is that you're seeking, better health, better sleep, whatever is important to you. I wish it for you, and I'm sending the good Debbie vibes your way. For those of you that can join me, I will be here on Saturday, same time, same place. So thank you for joining me this evening, and I look forward to seeing some of you again, hopefully very soon. I have questions. Wait, Mary Jean, hello, how are you? Does lymphatic drainage happen at all settings or only certain levels? Well, there's what you read in the marketing, and then there's common sense. Lymphatic movement, which is a big group that I have privately and specialize in. When you move, lymph moves. And a lot of people dealing with severe lymphatic issues can't move themselves regularly. So in theory, when you move, lymph moves, doesn't any setting move lymphatic drainage? Lymphatic drainage is a very big, scary topic, and it means something different to everyone. Lymphatic drainage just means that you're moving lymph. So your blood has a heart that pumps it and flows it, and you can change the rate of flow by increasing your heart rate. But with your lymphatics, the only thing that stimulates movement is when you move. So it's really much more a tolerance thing. And what I will add, Mary Jean, I do have a private group called Vibration for Fat Disorders. Think what you like. Fat disorders is a term. And until you know what some of these conditions are, it's more important to me that you find me on the internet versus understand the scientific terms. So conditions like lymphedema, lipedema, Derkham's disease. There's a lot of, let's call them loose connective tissue disorders. But if you are dealing with severe lymphatic issues, please, please, please be conservative on your time and your intensity. A vibration plate, if it does anything, it turbo boosts that circulation and lymph. The problem with lymphatic congestion or compromised lymphatic systems is we don't think about our body's capacity to process this big surge of fluid. So do some prep work, prepping the pathways. I'm not going to give anyone credit because it's a thing, and many people have put their own spin on it. But there's 6 major points. I've done a couple sessions on that. Doing a little prep work before the plate if you know you want to do a little bit of a longer session, but use it more often in short, frequent sessions when those symptoms are, lymphatic drainage. When it's poor, could be anything from numbness to aches and pains to swelling, lack of sensation. There's lots of different ways the symptom presents in the bigger part of, poor lymphatics. So you're going to be itchy. That's usually a super common thing for most people, but it's kind of heightened when you're dealing with sluggish or gunked up lymph. And if it's severe, like can't stand it, I'm breaking out in hives, there is a condition called MCAS, which is mast cell activation syndrome, where your body, it's not a vibration plate thing, but because the vibration plate accelerates exercise and movement effects, it just happens quicker on a vibration plate. So what happens with MCAS is you have kind of your body pre-releases histamines in a response to the increase in activity. So you want to be ultra conservative if you have that condition on time and intensity. And a lot of people, unfortunately, in the lipedema community don't even know what MCAS is. They just know that they're like itchy or like crazy. You've overdone it because it feels so good. It's very common. It's the same as over exercising. So the best thing you could actually do if you overdo it on a plate is get back on it for just a minute or two to recover, just like any activity. If you've overdone it on a plate, it could feel like muscle soreness, but sometimes if you're dealing with arthritic joints or, lupus or MS, or there's other things, sometimes we don't relate the new exercise pain to the chronic, we can't differentiate between the chronic same old pain. So if you've got pain in a knee or your shoulders or your hips, I see comments all the time. Oh, it hurt my hips, I can't use it. Well, what did you do on it? Did you go for 20 minutes with max speed and your feet wide? It's never the plate that hurts you or overdoes it. It's you. So some common sense has to come into it. Less is more. I would rather you be bored and wish you had done more than overdo it and not be able to use the thing for a few days. And it's a common thing with lymphatics, Mary Jean, because it's sometimes we know what we're dealing with, and when you're on the plate, it just feels so good and you feel things moving. 10 minutes doesn't really seem like that long, but it's the max run time, or 15 on some models. So 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a couple times. Bring those feet closer to the center and work with a faster speed range. You're going to find it more soothing, smoother than the slow, choppy. Everybody starts slow. Throw that out the window for 2026. Be conservative on time and intensity and bring the speed up a little bit. This is a completely different thing than a treadmill or an elliptical. Sorry, Mary Jean, that was a good opportunity for me to ramble on lymphatic drainage. Thank you for that. You have had your Rumblex Plus for 2 days. So thank you for joining me tonight. I think you'll enjoy my Saturday session as well if you didn't catch that. I'll post a link in the feed here today, but I am live Saturday again. Every Saturday, first Saturday of the month, I do an open crash course to give you the basics, and I do that in oscillating movement as well. And congratulations on your Rumblex Plus. That's what I was using today. Perhaps you have the black. It also comes in blue. Again, if you do have questions after the fact, don't hesitate to tag me at Debbie with a Y. I will drop some of my more popular sessions that I recommend you watch, especially for my new users. Can my kids use it? Can I use it when I'm sick? Any topic you can think of, I've probably done a session on. So don't hesitate to search in the group or on YouTube. Debbie, MS, Debbie, arthritis, Debbie, or Amber or Roseanne. We've been at this for years now, and many of us have honed in on some specific medical issues. Of course, with medical issues, check with your doctor, but it's not asking them, can I use a vibration plate? It's asking him, can I be active, and to what degree? So if they're saying things like low intensity, no strenuous exercise, You can use the plate, but modify the intensity, reduce the time, these kind of things. If you're going through an injury or a recent surgery, you're recovering from something, don't jump back on right where you left off. Back off for the same reasons. Ease back into it, if you will. Again, thank you for joining me. I love it when new users seek information. There is no right way to use a plate. Today, my approach is just different and caters, like I say, to that unconditioned and chronic community. So thank you for joining me. Please give me some feedback after the fact. If you've tried some of these, I'd love to see what you guys think about them. And I look forward to seeing those of you that can join me on Saturday night. Have a great rest of your evening, guys. Don't work too hard, and enjoy the first day of 2026. Thanks for joining me. I need to rearrange my workout area to make massage postures more accessible. Common thing, Carol. I know. Now it's a new dilemma. So you need more real estate. I get it. I usually put my machine against a wall so I can stick out. I don't always do all of it, but I have the machine facing out against the room so that I can lay down and have some space for that type of thing, and the push-ups and those type of things too. So send me a pic when you're done, Carol. I'd love to see how you figure that out. Have a great rest of the night, guys. Thank you so much.